The old backpack hung in my closet, wedged between boxes of Christmas decorations I hadn't touched in 5 years. It was my mother's, forest green with leather straps worn soft from years of use. She'd carried it on every hiking trip, every weekend escape to the mountains she loved. When Thomas asked me that Wednesday evening why I looked so tired, why I'd been crying in the bathroom, why dinner was late, I thought about that backpack. And for the first time in our 34 years of marriage, I lied to him without guilt. I told him I had a headache, but inside that backpack was everything he could never know about. Not yet, anyway. It started the way these things always start. So gradually, you don't see the trap until you're already caught. Thomas retired from the police force 3 years ago at 62. I'd retired from the bank 6 months before that. I thought we'd finally have time together. Maybe take those trips to the national parks I'd always wanted to see. Instead, retirement gave him a new beat to patrol. Me. At first, it was small things. Helen, did you really need to buy name-brand coffee? The store brand is half the price. Where were you for 45 minutes? The grocery store is only 20 minutes away. Why is your sister calling so much? What does she want? I explained it away. He was adjusting. After 35 years of shift work, of being in charge, of investigating and questioning, he just needed time to settle into civilian life. The habits would fade. They didn't fade. They intensified. 6 months into his retirement, Thomas announced he was taking over our finances completely. You worked in a bank for 30 years, and we still have credit card debt, he said. You're clearly not good with money management. I need to fix this. He closed my checking account, the one I'd opened when I was 19 years old. He consolidated everything into accounts in his name only. Then he handed me a prepaid debit card. $200 a month, he said. That's for groceries, toiletries, anything you need. It reloads on the first of every month. If you run out, that's on you for poor planning. I have alerts set up. I'll know every time you use it and exactly what you buy. $200. For a month. For everything. I stood there holding that card like it was a live snake. Thomas, that's not enough for groceries alone. We need at least $400 just for food. He shook his head. I've calculated it. You're wasteful. Buying expensive shampoo when Suave works fine. Getting fresh vegetables that rot in the drawer. Buying books when the library is free. $200 is more than sufficient if you're smart about it. But what about my prescriptions? My blood pressure medication alone is $35. He smiled. That thin smile that used to mean he was joking but didn't anymore. Then you'll have to budget carefully, won't you? The isolation happened almost as slowly. First, he suggested I didn't need to go to my book club anymore. Those women just gossip and waste time. Then it was my Tuesday morning water aerobics class. You're not losing weight anyway, so why throw money away on the membership? When my friend Janet called to invite me to lunch, Thomas stood over me while I made excuses. When my sister Carol tried to visit from Phoenix, he told her we were too busy. After a while, people stopped calling. I stopped answering anyway, because Thomas would stand there listening, his arms crossed, his face set in that expression I knew from 34 years. Judgment. Disapproval. Control. He checked my phone daily. He monitored my emails. He knew where I was every moment because I was always home, always cooking with the cheapest ingredients, always cleaning, always waiting. The house became my world and he was the warden. You don't need to go anywhere, he'd say. You have everything you need right here. I'll take care of you. And he did take care of me. He took care of my independence, my dignity, my connections to everyone who might have noticed something was wrong. He did it so methodically, so systematically, the way a good cop builds a case, piece by piece, until there was no way out. The breaking point came on a Tuesday afternoon in September. I was 62 years old, standing at the pharmacy counter at Walgreens, staring at the total on the screen and trying not to cry. Your copay is $35.73, the pharmacy technician said. She was young, maybe 25, with kind eyes and a name tag that said Jessica. I opened my wallet. I had the prepaid card and $3 in cash I'd found in an old coat pocket. It was the 27th of the month. The card had $7 left on it until it reloaded in 4 days. I'd been so careful. I'd bought the cheapest groceries. I'd skipped buying shampoo this month and watered down what was left. I'd made soups and stews to stretch everything. But Thomas's favorite bourbon had been on sale, and he'd told me to buy 3 bottles. That was $90 right there. "I can come back," I said, my voice shaking. "After the first. My card reloads then." Jessica looked at the screen, then at me. "Ma'am, this is your blood pressure medication. You can't go 4 days without it. That's dangerous." "I'll be fine." The tears were starting and I couldn't stop them. "I just need to wait a few days." I turned to leave, but my knee gave out, the arthritis that had been getting worse, and I grabbed the counter. Jessica came around and steadied me. "Are you okay? Do you need to sit down?" "I'm fine," I lied. "I'm just tired." But she didn't let go of my arm. She looked at my face, at my clothes, expensive once but now worn thin, at my shoes with the soles starting to separate, at the desperation I couldn't hide. "Wait here," she said quietly. She disappeared into the back and returned with an older woman, maybe 50, with gray hair and sharp, knowing eyes. "This is our lead pharmacist, Dr. Kim. She wants to talk to you." Dr. Kim pulled me gently into the consultation room and closed the door. "When was the last time you took your blood pressure medication?" 3 days ago." I ran out. My voice broke. "I just need to wait until my card reloads." Dr. Kim's expression didn't change, but something shifted in her eyes. Recognition. "I'm going to give you enough to get through until then," she said. "No charge, but I need you to take my card." She pressed something into my hand. "I'm also a licensed therapist. I volunteer at the Community Wellness Center on Oak Street. We help women in situations where they need support. Please come see me." "I'm not in a situation," I started, but she interrupted gently. "You're standing in my pharmacy crying because you can't afford a $35 copay for critical medication. You're in a situation, and I can help. Please." That night, I hid Dr. Kim's card in the spine of my mother's old cookbook, the one on the top shelf that Thomas never touched. I made dinner, grilled cheese, because that's all I could afford with what was left. Thomas complained that it was too greasy, that I should have made salad, that I was getting lazy. I said nothing. I'd learned that saying nothing was safer. At 2 in the morning, I went downstairs and pulled the cookbook down. Dr. Sarah Kim, Ph.D., LMFT, Community Wellness Center, Oak Street. I knew where that was. A 15-minute walk from our house. The next Wednesday, while Thomas was at his weekly poker game at the VFW, the one appointment he never missed because it was 3 hours of being away from me, I walked to Oak Street. The Community Wellness Center was in a converted church, cream-colored with stained glass windows that threw colored light across the lobby. There was a receptionist behind a desk who smiled warmly when I walked in. "Can I help you?" "I'm looking for Dr. Sarah Kim." My voice sounded strange, rough from disuse. "Let me check if she's available." "Your name?" I hesitated. "Helen. Helen Morrison." Sarah came out 5 minutes later. She was wearing jeans and a sweater instead of her white coat, and she looked less intimidating, more human. "Helen, I'm so glad you came." She led me to a small office with windows overlooking a garden where late summer flowers still bloomed. She made tea and waited while I tried to find words. Then it all came out. 3 years of increasing control. The closed accounts, the $200 monthly card with alerts, the isolation from my sister, my friends, everyone. The way he tracked my movements, my purchases, my conversations, the way I'd become invisible in my own life. "I know this sounds ridiculous," I said. "He never hit me. He never even threatened me. He's controlling." "It's abuse," Sarah said firmly. "Financial abuse is real. Isolation is real. What you're describing is coercive control, and it's serious. Have you thought about leaving?" "I can't." The words were automatic. "I don't have money. He has everything in his name. I don't even have a bank account anymore. My sister lives in Arizona. I haven't talked to her in 2 years. She probably thinks I abandoned her." "Helen." Sarah's voice was kind but firm. "You can leave. It will be hard, but you can, and I will help you." Over the next 8 weeks, I visited Sarah every Wednesday while Thomas was at poker. We made a plan. First, I needed documents: birth certificate, social security card, marriage license, bank statements, property deed. Thomas kept everything in a locked filing cabinet in his home office. It took me 4 Wednesdays to find where he kept the key, tucked inside a hollowed-out book on his shelf. On the fifth Wednesday, while he was at poker, I copied everything at the FedEx store 2 blocks from the wellness center. My hands shook so badly I could barely feed the papers into the machine, but I got copies of everything. Second, I needed money. Sarah connected me with a lawyer who did pro bono work for abuse survivors. His name was Marcus Webb, and he was younger than my son would have been if we'd had children. He explained that I had legal rights to marital assets, that I could petition for temporary support. But first, he said, you need to be safe. You need to leave. Where would I go? Sarah knew a woman named Gloria Mendez who ran a transitional house for women over 50. It was a 2-story colonial house with 5 bedrooms converted to help women rebuilding their lives. $400 a month for a room with a shared bath, meals included, safe, supportive. I don't have $400, I said. Gloria offers the first month free, Sarah said. After that, we'll get you support payments from the divorce proceedings. You'll be okay. The backpack came from my own closet, my mother's old hiking pack. I brought it down one Wednesday, and slowly, over 4 weeks, I filled it. 2 pairs of jeans, 3 sweaters, underwear and socks, my mother's silver bracelet that Thomas didn't know I'd kept, the photo album from before we were married, my father's pocket watch. Everything that mattered fit in that pack with room to spare. 62 years of life, and it all fit in a backpack that still smelled faintly of my mother's perfume. Marcus filed papers for legal separation and emergency spousal support. The papers would be served to Thomas at the house, but I wouldn't be there when it happened. We chose a Wednesday. Thomas had poker at 6. He'd be gone until at least 9, sometimes later if they played extra hands. The night before, I couldn't sleep. I lay next to him, listening to him snore, and I felt nothing. No love, no anger, no sadness, just relief that tomorrow it would be over. Wednesday morning, I made him breakfast, like always. Scrambled eggs, toast, black coffee. He read the news on his tablet and complained about gas prices. I washed the dishes. He kissed my forehead before leaving for his afternoon errands. I don't think he'd really kissed me in years. I waited 30 minutes after he left. Then I pulled the backpack from the closet. My hands were steady. I was calm, almost floating. I walked through the house one last time. This house where I'd lived for 30 years. The kitchen where I'd learned to cook with cheaper and cheaper ingredients. The living room where I'd stopped watching my favorite shows because Thomas said they were stupid. The bedroom where I'd forgotten what it felt like to be touched with love. I didn't take pictures from the walls. I didn't leave a note. Marcus had been clear. Don't give him anything to use. Don't explain. Just go. Sarah was waiting outside in her car. She'd taken off work early to drive me. Ready? She asked. I put the backpack in her trunk. Ready. Gloria's house was on Maple Avenue in a neighborhood I'd never been to, even though it was only 3 miles from my house. Gloria met us at the door, a small woman in her 60s with bright eyes and a warm smile. She showed me to my room on the 2nd floor. It was small, with a single bed, a dresser, a reading chair by the window that looked out at a garden. The bathroom shared, just down the hall, Gloria said. Dinner's at 6:30. Breakfast is help yourself in the kitchen anytime. There are 3 other women here right now. Good people. You're going to be fine. After she left, I sat on the bed and cried. Not from sadness, from relief so overwhelming it felt like I was falling and flying at the same time. I was safe. For the first time in 3 years, I was safe. Thomas sent 63 text messages to my phone that night. I'd left the phone behind, but Marcus told me later when we went to collect my remaining things under police supervision. Thomas had called Sarah's office at the wellness center 11 times. He'd driven to Carol's house in Phoenix, 8 hours away, convinced my sister was hiding me. He'd called the police department where he used to work, trying to file a missing persons report until Marcus's office informed them I wasn't missing. I had left voluntarily. The papers were served to Thomas at the house by a county sheriff's deputy. According to Marcus, Thomas refused to accept them at first, claiming it was a mistake, that I would never leave him, that someone had brainwashed me. The deputy explained that wasn't how legal documents worked. The divorce took 11 months. Thomas fought everything. He claimed I'd abandoned him, that I was mentally unstable, that I'd stolen from him. But Marcus had the documentation, the closed accounts, the $200 monthly allowance, the tracked purchases, The Isolated Life. Judge Patricia Hernandez, a woman in her 50s who'd clearly seen enough controlling husbands to know one when she saw the evidence, didn't believe Thomas's story. The divorce was finalized on a Tuesday in August, 9 months after I'd left. I got half of everything: the retirement accounts, the savings, half the value of the house, which Thomas would have to refinance to buy me out or sell. I got spousal support of $2,000 a month until I started collecting Social Security at 65. I got my freedom. Thomas's friends from the VFW, the ones he played poker with, stopped talking to him when the details came out. His former colleagues at the police department heard about the financial control, the tracking, the isolation. The reputation he'd built over 35 years crumbled. He had to sell the house because he couldn't afford the refinance. Last I heard from Marcus, he'd moved to a small apartment across town and was working security at a shopping mall. I stayed at Gloria's house even after I could afford my own place. I liked the community. I liked eating dinner with women who understood. I liked having Gloria's wisdom available when I needed it. Plus, I started working there part-time, helping Gloria with intake, talking to new women who arrived scared and broken and trying to believe they could survive. Carol flew up from Phoenix the week after the divorce was final. We sat in Gloria's garden and cried and talked and filled in 2 years of silence. She told me about her grandkids, her pottery class, her book club. I told her about the job I'd gotten at the library, part-time helping with literacy programs. It didn't pay much, but it was mine. "Why didn't you call me?" Carol asked, crying. "I would have come. I would have helped." "I know," I said. I was ashamed. And after a while, I forgot that I could. Last Wednesday, I started my training as a volunteer counselor at the Community Wellness Center. I'm going to help other women the way Sarah helped me. I'll sit in that office with the garden windows and make tea and tell them the truth. You can leave. It will be hard, but you can, and we will help you. Sarah hugged me when I arrived for my first session. "I'm so proud of you, Helen. I'm proud of me too." 62 years old, and I finally learned that it's never too late to save yourself. That dignity isn't something someone gives you, it's something you take back. That asking for help isn't weakness, it's the bravest thing you can do. I still have that backpack, my mother's forest green hiking pack with the worn leather straps. It sits in my closet at Gloria's house, empty now except for a few emergency supplies I keep there just in case another woman needs it. Sometimes I look at it and remember the woman who packed it with shaking hands, who didn't know if she'd have the courage to walk out the door. I want to tell her, "You did it. You survived. You're free." But she knows. She knew all along. She was just waiting for the right Wednesday to finally believe it.